Hey folks, doing something a little bit different this week. These are a couple of quick reviews from my trip to Las Vegas earlier this year.
Viva Las Vegas!
We took the opportunity of being in Vegas to avail ourselves to some of the fine dining. First of three was Morimoto. Yes, that Morimoto.
Iron Chef Japanese is Masaharu Morimoto.
Iron Chef Morimoto's flagship restaurant. He has a location in Las Vegas. Incredible food. Our appetizer of pork gyoza was astounding. My main course was the braised black cod. That was just utterly incredible. Really opened my eyes to what the texture of fish can be when it is properly cooked. Blown away by that. We got a shared side dish of duck confit fried rice. That was a little gilding the lily, just richness after richness after richness, but it worked, especially because the rest of our meal wasn't rich at all. Everything else was very crisp, clean, and elegantly presented. My wife got a shirashi bowl, which is basically a mixed bowl of sushi. It's sashimi with rice and some vegetables. Our dessert was a cheesecake souffle, and it was so beautiful. It was just gorgeous to look at on the plate, and it tasted great. So all in all, the food was mostly excellent. My only real critique there is the sauce with my black cod was a little underwhelming, where the cod was so incredibly well cooked and presented. I felt the sauce didn't live up to the beauty of the fish itself. Where it all falls down was with the drinks. I ordered an old fashioned because I'm a good Wisconsin boy at heart, and the restaurant has a house old fashioned. It's made with Japanese whiskey, Japanese sugar. It sounded really interesting. Unfortunately, the choice in glassware meant that the drink actually couldn't be mixed. Now, an old fashioned always gets built in the glass. That's how you make an old fashioned. And sort of the standard way to build that is with one single big cube of ice. That's what Morimoto is doing. Except their glassware meant that they couldn't actually stir a single big cube of ice. I don't have the same glasses, but you get the idea from this clip. Basically, the glasses had a round top and then sort of bowed out in one direction and shrank down in the other. They're beautiful. When the drink came to the table, it was completely unmixed. It was just stratified layers of sugar, bitters, and whiskey in a glass with an ice cube. That left it up to me to try and mix it. I wound up sort of bobbing the ice cube up and down with my finger. That drink never should have gone to the table. In a restaurant of that quality, where they are clearly getting custom glassware, those glasses never should have been chosen for that drink. It's really weird to see a restaurant fumbling basics like that. I'm gonna give this restaurant a B+. The food is phenomenal. Highly recommend going to Morimoto, but maybe get your drinks elsewhere. Our next fine dining experience was with another celebrity chef. We went to Gordon Ramsay's steak and we got the tasting menu. Designed by Gordon Ramsay himself, showcases some of his signature dishes throughout his career. First up is a quail scotch egg. This is a flex, and I respect it. The black magic of a properly cooked Scotch egg is having an ooey gooey soft boiled center, but it's been wrapped in sausage, breaded, and then deep fried until the sausage is fully cooked. When it gets to the table, you should cut it open and still have that jammy, eggy, delicious yolk in the center. That's hard enough to do with a chicken egg. Doing it with a quail egg? Respect, Gordon Ramsay. That is impressive on a technical level. Also completely delicious, so full marks. That was followed up by hamachi crudo, which is basically tuna sushi. Hamachi is yellowfin tuna, crudo means raw or uncooked. The fish was of excellent quality, it was sliced and presented nicely, but I don't feel that the plate was a coherent meal. It just sort of felt like the puffed rice and other things on the plate were there and the fish was the center. It didn't really gel as a dish. Then out comes the risotto with sea scallops, one of his signature dishes. You see him talk about scallops all the time on TV. That risotto was phenomenal. It was my first time having risotto made in a restaurant, so now I actually know the consistency that my risotto should take, and I have actually upped my risotto game, which you will see in a couple of videos. The scallops were beautiful, just perfectly browned, crisp on the outside, tender and soft. No complaints there. Wonderful dish. This next course is the main course and is the reason you have to get the tasting menu in pairs. It's Gordon Ramsay's signature beef Wellington served with pumped puree, carrots, turnips, and a poached lobster tail. The Wellington was phenomenal. I've made it here at home, but it didn't quite live up to my expectations. So it was really nice to have the real deal and see what beef Wellington really should be like. Now, the Wellington is the reason you have to get this in pairs. They take either an 8 or 12 ounce cut of beef tenderloin, make a Wellington out of that, cut it in half, and serve that to the two diners. The thing here that stands out to me is that the lobster tail didn't really fit. It just sort of seems like it was added to the plate in order to call it surf and turf and be able to charge more for the tasting menu. Beef Wellington, classic English dish, Pommes puree, beef and potatoes, that works. There was beef demi-glace cutting across the potatoes and down onto the plate, so you had a bit of rich, beefy sauce for both your Wellington and your potatoes. And then classic English root vegetables of parsnips and carrots. That all feels very English, very much like it fits together. The lobster tail just didn't work with any of that. It felt out of place. It felt like they wanted to add lobster so they could charge more. It didn't integrate with the taste of any of the side dishes or the Wellington. I would have had a better experience without the lobster tail, even if they had charged me the same amount. For dessert, we had sticky toffee pudding, which was so good. I was really surprised that the dessert at this steakhouse was so good. It came with brown butter ice cream. What's not to love? On top of our tasting menu, I took the opportunity to finally try some A5 Wagyu. That was astounding. The Wagyu there is triple seared, served with some shishito peppers and soy sauce. In essence, we were sort of treating this Wagyu like sushi. We tried a piece of Wagyu right off of the plate, and it was really great. Then we just dipped it a little bit in the soy sauce and tried it again, and whoa, it exploded in even more flavor. Go try some Wagyu. So all told, I give Gordon Ramsay steak an A. It's a wonderful dining experience. I have a couple of minor quibbles with presentation. Why else are you coming to YouTube for a restaurant review if you don't want to see somebody tell Gordon Ramsay he's doing something unnecessary? Then lastly, we went to Letelier by Joël Robuchon. Joël Robuchon has run a number of restaurants with 3 Michelin stars, including the restaurant right next door to Letelier. That's his 3 Michelin star restaurant. We went to the test kitchen next door, which only has 1 Michelin star. This is hands down my favorite dining experience. Did tasting menus there. My wife did the seasonal menu. I got a sort of build your own tasting menu. We both did 5 courses. I was so enthralled with this experience, I forgot to write it down. I forgot to take notes. Everything was perfect. It was incredibly well cooked, beautifully presented, and the service was superb. The cool thing for me is the whole concept of the restaurant is you get to watch the kitchen. The bulk of the dining is set up in bar seating. So you are seated at a counter, and that counter looks in on the kitchen, and it's a whole L-shaped bar, runs the length of the dining room, and then cuts across the front of the house. So the entire time you are eating, you get to look in at the cooks, at the chefs, as they are working. It's just really cool and fascinating and lovely to see people working at this level doing anything. Was a wonderful experience. They also had, hands down, the best Manhattan I have ever had. I told the bartender as such, ordered another one, and he must have been flattered because he then poured me a double. So thank you, bartender at Letelier. That was very kind of you, and I am glad we took a cab home because I was pretty wobbly walking out. Letelier, I give, hands down, an A+. It is my favorite dining experience in Vegas. We're thinking of making Vegas one of our common destinations when we go on vacation. We have plans to go back to Letelier when we do because we both loved the food and the experience that much. Number 1 recommendation I have for people who like my channel, who like to watch people cook, go to Letelier. You won't be disappointed. Well, that's it for this video. If you want to check out more, go ahead and subscribe to my Patreon because I'm also going to be recording my thoughts on a couple of less fine dining experiences that I had in Vegas. So it'll include my thoughts on brunch in Vegas, as well as a restaurant that elevates pub food and a restaurant that just doubles down on pub food. Until next time, I'm PK Sullivan, and this is Breakfast for Pancakes.